Oh, now we're live. Okay, so
We
we're
are
live.
live.
We
Yes.
have one viewer. Hello, viewer. Good to see you. Oh, we're up to two. Look, we doubled it. Amazing.
I see some of
I
the usual suspects.
Yeah. But I am very pleased that we are getting people in because I had a hard time setting it up this week, to be honest.
It's very clunky.
It is. It honestly is. But here we are.
yes, it's Friday. We've survived another week. Well done, boys. Well done. So you both had, well, we all three had a busy week, right? So I'm in Dublin.
Yeah.
People that listen regularly might recognize the backgrounds now when I move between venues. But I was in London this week. We had a really great dinner. A lot of really interesting conversations happening about AI, data contracts, data products, and it was a about 14 CDOs and that came along to the event. So that was really good. And then I did the Corinium event in London, which it was shocking to me that the venue was too hot. We had a lack of air conditioning, which became very uncomfortable. But a really good event. A little weird that they had a CAIO officer event, right? So chief AI officer event and a chief data and analytics officer event. And to me, those two roles probably merge at some point. So to have different content for both audiences was a little bit odd, but that's how they chose to set things up. But I did my usual shtick, and it went down pretty well. And so JGP, the 6'3" thing, right? So let me just explain that. So I put a photograph on LinkedIn of me next to the CDO from Waters Fluger, who's an acting customer. And he and I both said we were 6'3", and what's behind that is when I moved to the US from Dublin, I went to the DMV in California to apply for my license, and you put your weight in pounds, right? So in the UK and Ireland we use stones and pounds. Now in Ireland we use kilos because we're modern. But anyway, you put your weight in pounds, so I assume that you put your height in inches. So I listed my height as 63. And the woman behind the counter, who, when she was entering this from a form into the computer, entered it as 6'3". Now, this woman is looking over a counter at somebody that is basically just a fringe at this point, and she enters my height as 6'3". So she could have fixed it as a $1 problem. Right? So my license came into them, and I thought it was hilarious to have a license that said I was 6'3". So I could have fixed the problem when I got my license, and I chose not to. And then I was heading out to Las Vegas, and I got caught for speeding. And while I was caught for speeding, they noticed that there was a discrepancy between my license and my person, and I got into a lot of trouble for that. I had to hire a lawyer, and it became more than $1,000 problem for me. So that 110-100 issue is something that I've lived when it comes to data quality. So I had told that story as an anecdote when I was presenting this week, and then we decided to take that photo together since he is in fact actually 6 foot.
Is that purely a data quality problem? Because
Maybe it's a genetic quality issue in my part because I actually have a brother who's 6'4" and I am 5'2". So anyway, you were busy on Substack this week, right? You talked about data contracts and maturity models, and then oh, you had a big announcement this morning. So maybe we start with you since you got some big news to share.
Yeah, me. Well,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. It is big news, obviously.
Yes.
I'm officially writing the second edition of the Enterprise Data Catalog. Thank you, thank you. I have friends and colleagues, and both have known this for a little while, but now it's official, and it's great to say it out loud. Um, I have some of the best books that I have read. I have kept the second edition or the first edition of them. One of them is Data Management at Scale by Pete Hines Strenghold. A lot of people didn't like the first edition. It was too enterprisey. And the second got very concrete with specific technologies and stencils from specific technology vendors and so forth. I like both of the editions, and that's really how I hope this book will resonate with people. Everything I wrote in the first edition still holds true. I'm building on top because AI is changing so much in terms of how we work with data, and especially, which is the most important part for me, how we search data. That is really, really something that is changing, and it's quite a shift, right? For 25 years on the web, we had search engines. Now they are challenged from conversational search and everything that AI does to the way we search. And that's the exact same reality in enterprises, right? When we search for data, it's no longer just a powerful search engine. There's something more on top, on the side, below. It's just a new reality. So I'm looking forward to writing that. I already have written some chapters in the book.
So it's interesting because, well, I've got the old one, obviously, but it's like 3 years old. Okay, so it means that, okay, when do you plan on having it? Like early next year, or
I think I will do faster than that, but that
well,
was the plan. I think we will have it. Um, yeah, I can't promise anything, but I would really, really like to finish it before the summer. Uh,
Oh wow! Oh, we
yeah,
should
let's
see
see.
it
Let's
this
see.
year. Yeah,
do,
Yeah,
this
do,
I
calendar
think.
year, right?
Yeah,
do you plan on sleeping, or
I plan on sleeping, but and maybe I won't get to do it. But it's just it's been on my mind for a while. Obviously, when I published the book, I had the situation that while publishing the book in early 2023, that was the exact moment in time where search engines were getting challenged, right, by
Right,
OpenAI, and
right,
that was such a paradox. But and I feared for the reception of the book, but it went really nice, and it got a lot of and it's still a very, very useful book. But it's just that I thought I had the one topic in tech that wouldn't change, right? Search
right.
engines.
Yeah,
They were so stable. They were just so like if you knew what they were about, how to construct them, how to make use of them, then you had a really solid topic that wouldn't change, which is super rare in tech. And then when I published, boom, it went away. But there's nothing to do. That's just technology, right? It changes all
it's
the
funny
time.
how it's changed, though, right? I mean, so we use Google for an internet search for something. We use that as the verb, but kids today just say search, right? Because they've got so many different tools that they use for search, and search might be TikTok, it might be Claude, it might be ChatGPT, but it could be anything, right? It's not that the default for them is Google for sure.
what strikes me here, it's not even the paradigm about the search itself that changed, but it is even the way you interact with search has
Yeah,
completely changed.
pretty
Okay,
changed. Yeah,
the UI, even if Google's UI did not change, you very quickly go to AI, or you search if you search for OpenAI, you're really in this conversational mode more than anything else. So it's really interesting because as you guys know, I've been working on a UI driven product, okay, prototype of things, but it's still point and click. The thing is, what's the lifespan of this thing compared to conventional discussions with a bot that is actually going to build my data products and data contracts? So I'm uh, triggered. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, congrats, my friend. I'm really excited about your this work, and I wrote a second edition of a book, but I was not the author of the first one, so I'm curious about the feedback you will bring after, because there's some that I may want to also have a new layer of freshness on some. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. Yeah. I guess it's always a choice, right? Do you write a second edition or not? For this book in particular, I think it's worthwhile having a second edition, right? It's not some done attempt to monetize the same topic again. It really is because the technological reality changed, and the reason
Right.
the people that follow these kinds of advice, they would want an update, and so that's
Yeah,
cool.
oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. And I think it's I like books, okay? So, uh, but I like them when they kind of, you know, you follow through. They stay as a reference, right? The thing is, it's not a blog post. It's something that you put on on a shelf, or but you still have, I mean, after you read it, obviously, but yeah, it's great. So I'm really happy for you. So
Thank you.
Who
I'll
has a
say
dog? I don't have a dog.
I think it's JGP that has a dog. I don't have a dog, at least. I have a final remark about the book, though, and that will be the final remark. The book will have two parts, right? The new second edition. I'll have there's the first part is what everything that changes inside data catalogs because of AI, because basically everything changes, everything becomes better in data catalogs. It's a really positive story. You can organize data better, you can search data better, you can access it better, you can observe it better. So everything becomes better with AI. And I'm really saying this as someone that suffered from all the manual tasks that you had to do to obtain a mature data governance state in a company. So this is pretty fantastic. And then the second part of the book is about what data catalogs are now doing outside of themselves in an AI context, which is completely new and super interesting. So everything MCP, everything RAG, or LLMs, all of that jazz is in the second part of the book, and that is also quite marvelous to see. So it's a rather positive book. And with that said, enough about me.
So basically, you're exploding part three, uh,
Yes, yes.
into your new book. Okay, okay. Well, enough
Spot,
about the
spot
book, as
on.
you said. But okay, so
Let's dive into your topic. Well, anyway, I won't steer the conversation. Who feels like going next?
Drive it, please.
Okay. Well, I think I took up too much time here, so
yeah.
so let's try to cut it evenly. I want to hear about the dinner, and I want to hear about the maturity model. Let's perhaps go to the maturity model, and then Emma, you get the last half,
Okay.
please.
So maturity model is something I've been dealing with for quite some time, and I guess that everybody is familiar with them, right? It's the idea of measuring where you are and being able to compare and evolve from one state to another one, and a- and and when it comes to data contracts, the big challenge I have with a lot of practitioners or early practitioners, I would say, is that we don't um, they don't know where to start, and they don't know where to finish, and some of them are seeing the ODCS, so Open Data Contract Standard, which and it's getting with 3.1, it's getting pretty. It's getting we had one page, and now we've got 10 page explaining the standard. So they're shorter page than the big one page, but still, it's getting a little bit tough. However, the thing is, people are seeing that and say, "Oh, I've got to fill all these things." Okay, they're still in a kind of a project mode where I've got to check all the boxes to complete. And I think that was kind of the idea of the maturity model: is you don't have to. Okay, yes, the more the more value, the more input, the more data you put or the more metadata you put into the contract, the better you get at the value you're getting out of it. But you don't have to do it. So the idea of this maturity model is to say, okay, you can start light, and then you iterate over time, to get to a level 5. So the maturity model I describe is based on 5 levels, which I called structural, descriptive, governed, quality enforced, and optimized. They build upon one another. Okay, so you can't just start with the optimized. You've got to do the first ones too. Okay, and actually, I've automated it. So I've seen also a lot of maturity model. Even when I was at Expedia, we had maturity model for data contracts and data products, but they were subjective at some point. There was I wanted to create a maturity model that is quantifiable. Okay, so it's really about, okay, how many data quality rules do you have in percentage of the fields you have, how many descriptions of fields you have, etc. So this is all taken into account to go through the different levels, and so I think it starts well. The idea is to make it flexible, and I'm going to do a follow-up article on that part soon about the structure, because I implemented, as I wrote the article, I implemented it as well. Okay, so you can actually measure dynamically the maturity model of data contracts, and I've shown it to a few partners, customers, prospect, and they like the idea quite a lot, because they really want to understand how they can progress, and where is it enough to start. So yeah.
Wow, I love it. I mean, that's really. It's always great to get like a hands-on metric for how you want to ignite these things. It can be a little abstract for people to see, and so
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
feel.
particularly with data contracts, right? Yeah, I agree. So I was talking about this at the dinner that we had in what's called the Walkie-Talkie Building. I don't know if you've been to London, but when you look at the City of London, there's that weird building that looks like it's the shape of a walkie-talkie. They call it the Walkie-Talkie Building on Fenchurch Street, and that's where we had the dinner in the very top floor of that building. So the views were just spectacular, and the food was fantastic. But I was talking about the work that you were doing, JGP, because I was sitting next to somebody from a retail bank in the UK, a very well-known retail bank, and he was talking about how they've adopted data contracts, and they were kind of struggling with that maturity model, and how do you build that out? And I'm like, oh, if you adopt ODCS, right, then a lot of that work will be done for you. So, and then I talked about the data contract builder prototype that you've put together, and how that's able to tell you where you are with respect to the maturity model, and they were fascinated by it. So, the other really great news for me when presenting this week, I did a very informal poll through a show of hands as to who at this event was using data contracts, and more than half the room raised their hands.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was great, but what do they mean by data contract? I didn't get into right, because it was a very informal show of hands thing. But at least they're on board with the concept, right? And it may just be that it's a very uh, simple implementation of a contract, but some of them at least had familiarity with ODCS and the work you guys are doing. So
Did the other half did data products?
they did have data products, yeah. They did, and a compliments page that never got updated, or a Word document that nobody ever read. So yeah. So it was a lot better showing than in the New York event, when I did the same poll of the audience, and didn't get quite as many hands raised. But yeah, it's an interesting topic, right? Because as everything's moving at machine speed, you need to have a machine readable format for the contract, and automation where it can be used should be used. So I was I was much happier with this audience than I was with the New York audience, because they were aligned with what we think, which is that this is absolutely the way that you can scale your use of data contracts and data products. So these look good. So next week I'll be back in the US, not traveling for a change. So pretty excited for
I, am I mixing up some dates here, Emma? Or
Yeah.
I believe it was also this dinner where you handed out your report, right? your book.
Yes.
Yes,
He was
my
shy
report.
about
Let's
that.
not call it a book. I called it a book on LinkedIn, and then I'm like, oh god, it's so not a book. But I had seen that the Enterprise DB guys called their O'Reilly report a book. I'm like, I'll call it a book. So I did hand that out, and we got photographs, and I have readers now that have read it, and we're going to
Hey.
distribute my report at the Gartner event, and in fact, I'm going to be signing copies of it in the O'Reilly booth at the Gartner Data Analytics event in Florida. And because that's happening the week before St. Patrick's Day, and we are taking my family's Irish coffee recipe and putting it on a bookmark that we will put into the book for those that come along to the Gartner event. So I'm going to make it a little bit fun. Actually, not trying to
Wonderful.
increase the distribution of the book. Yes, yes.
It
So
is.
yes, thank
It is a
you. That
great
was
read.
exciting. Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, and like, but it's also just a great read. So I wholeheartedly recommend it
Oh, that's very
for
kind of you.
everyone.
Thank you.
No, but you can definitely tell that like you speak from experience, right? So it's not like it's not just simply like there are theoretical or like deeply technological considerations behind it, but it's also something that's rooted in a pragmatic reality, which is not always the case when when you like read guidance on how to perform data engineering, data management. It can often get very theoretical and very unrealistic, right? So I love that pragmatic perspective.
I like I like the structure of the book. So yeah, great and fast read. That's my favorites.
Yes, intended as an airplane read, they call them at O'Reilly, right? So you can read it while you're on a flight, short flight. So I just popped the link into the chat there. So okay, so I need to drop for another call, but have a good weekend, folks, and thanks for joining us today. Cheers.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I guess we're thank you, everyone, for listening in. It's great to have you. See you soon.